Greetings, learners. I take this wonderful opportunity to welcome each and every one of you to our BLIS program from the School of Social Sciences, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Well, my name is Zuchamo Yantan, Faculty of Library and Information Science. The focus for today's presentation is from the course BLI 221, Library, Information and Society. And the topic is titled Changing Role of Libraries in Society. Well, in this presentation, we shall cover some of the important aspects of changing role of libraries in society, and we will try to understand what library and information science is all about. We shall also try to talk about the evolution of libraries in the 21st century and the functional role of library and some of the significant roles which library plays in society. And we shall also try to explain whether library is still relevant in the 21st century. After listening to this presentation, the student will be able to learn or understand what library and information science is all about. Understand the primary role of a library. Explain the meaning and purpose of the society. Describe the importance, purpose, and role of libraries in society. Explain how libraries plays significant roles in the modern society, and understand the changing role of libraries in education, culture, and recreation. Well, but before we go into further discussion, let us try to understand what library and information science is all about. It's a discipline of library and information science, and I think it is important to know what library and information science stands for. Well, library and information science are two sides of the same coin, where information science focus on theories and library science focus on how to put people into contact with information. And it is an academic discipline and professional study of how information can be produced, disseminated, discovered, evaluated, selected, acquired, used, organized, maintained, and managed or preserved. And library science is the study of collecting, preserving books and other documents in libraries. And information science is a study of the process for storing and retrieving information, especially scientific and technical information. Hence, library and information science deals with storage, retrieval, and usage of information. And library and information science is a highly multidisciplinary subject, it's a very multidisciplinary in its approach. It covers ranging from social sciences, such as history, political science, economy, management, sciences, and so forth. And why LIS requires a study? Well, the documentary products of human activity themselves forms a universe deserving of study concerning how that universe produces, seek it, retrieve it, and use it, the intellectual dominant of information studies. Hence, LIS requires a study. And the primary purpose of library and information science profession, well, the primary purpose of LIS profession is to provide access to information pertinent to users' requests. And the librarians are trained in how to find unbiased information of all kinds. When we talk about unbiased, it means, like with honesty, without any kind of discrimination. You are supposed to, you know, uh, provide the information, honestly. And the librarians take the role of finding the right information for the users and serving society through the records of human thoughts, ideas, and expressions by making them available to all. So these are the main primary purpose of library and information science profession. One is the access to information. Second is to provide an unbiased information. And the third one is providing, finding the right information to the users. And the fourth one is serving society through the records. And so the reflection is what we have just covered. One is like library and information science deals with storage, retrieval, and usage of information. And the primary, again, as I have just mentioned, is that it provides access to information, provide unbiased information, provide right information, and serving the society. So these are just the reflections of what we have just covered so far. Well, how libraries are evolving. I think it is very important for us to understand how the libraries are evolving. Library has been existing in a different forms, since almost 500 years back. And from, it evolved from tablets to scrolls to the books, and today it's in a digitization form. So it is also important how, libraries are evolving, in the 21st century. Well, the evolution. Well, information and knowledge has been the driving force in the development of a society. And society has passed through three different phases, namely Agrarian society, industrial society, and post-industrial or information society. And human being understood the power of knowledge. Hence, they invented, the mechanism of writing to record and document the information and knowledge they acquired. Further, they invented paper and printing technology, which proved to be a milestone in the human history. And growth in information and knowledge and birth of several institutions in the society created an institution called the library. And initially, library role was of preservation and preserving the knowledge of the society. But gradually it became a service agency and started to serve the society with its resources. Hence, the role of library grew manifold as society developed educationally, socially, economically, culturally, and politically. And today, libraries have become the backbone of the modern society as it provides the means to the development process of each and every segment of society. And over the past few decades, with the advancement in the information communication technologies, the nature of library and information environment and the mode of services has changed drastically in a dynamic way. And the library has now shifted from the traditional to automated library, hence hybrid library, and then to digital library and virtual library. And presently, it is shifting to library 2.0 and library 3.0. So I think this itself is explanatory how the library has evolved over the years and where the libraries are moving today, shifting today to Library 2.0 and Library 3.0. We will further explain that in the later part. And now the question is, has the philosophy of library changed with the evolution? And I think the answer is no. The method has changed from templates to scroll to books to digitization, and today moving to library 3.0, 2.0 and 3.0. In spite of that, the philosophy of the library has not changed with the evolution. Library, the philosophy is is basically for the society, serving the society. And the library and information science is very much a service-oriented society. It's a service-oriented profession. It is meant to provide service to the community. And library exists for society. And now the question is, do we still need a library? Well, the advent of new technologies has changed some of our reading habits. Yes, it has very much changed, some of our reading habits. And in the age of information explosion, there is also increase of fake news. Hence, our society today needs a library to provide them right information for guiding people in the right directions. And methods of reading habits may change over the years, but people are still reading and will continue to read. Hence, libraries will be needed even in future. Yes, we still need a library, and of course, we will still continue to need library in the future. It's just that the method has changed, but the purpose has not changed. And well, now the question is, yes, another question is like, as we have just pondered upon whether we're still in the library. And as you know, today the library has evolved into a, very much in a digitized form. And Google has been giving a lot of services to the people. But the thing is that Google can find you maybe 100,000 answers, but it says librarians will find you the right one. Hence, we will continue to need a library even in the future. Now, let us try to study the top three library services in addition to to providing books. The three top library services are Reader's Advisory, Reference, and Programming. Here, Reader's Advisory, it means finding the right books to the right users at the right time. And in doing so, the librarians or the library will be able to save the time of the readers. And the second one is a reference, that is helping the customers find the information they need. And a librarian is a navigator of all the information in the library. They know where, which discipline of information, the information which is relating to a particular discipline is located. So librarians are like a navigator of information. And programming, when we talk about programming, it's about bringing different groups of people, together for group learning activity. And most libraries offer different programs like lectures or talks, group discussions, or it could also be cultural events. It could also be story reading times. It could also be, display of art and, in the form of art. And also it could also be display or, it can be also be display of photographs, art and photographs, and so forth. So the three top library services are readers advisory, reference, and programming. And how the libraries are evolving to the changing times. I think we have already spoken about it, how it has changed and how it is changing, of course, but we can still go further. Well, today it is all about access, inclusiveness, that is welcoming everyone, to the library. And since public libraries accommodates and serves everyone, they are also the first person to recognize local needs. You know, that is like trying to, since in a public library, different types of people visits the library. The library professionals, as they are mingling with the people visiting to the library, the people means like of different from different background, different age, colors, and so on and so forth. So they are able to recognize the local needs. It could be a problem, it could be some kind of aspirations, and so on and so forth. And community place, libraries are today evolving, as a community place. Library as an opportunity centers because they offer everything for free, from internet to free educational programs and helping people. And especially library has been very consistently the library has been consistently serving as a community place, especially for the underprivileged people, because in a society, there are different types of people. There may be people who may be able to sit home because they are able to afford a laptop, smartphones, and also they are able to access to Wi-Fi, internet connectivity. But there are also, in context to Indian society, there are also millions of people who are not accessible to internet, connectivity. They are not unable to afford, a smartphone or laptop, or internet connectivity. So for people of the underprivileged, society, the library becomes a huge blessing, as they will be able to visit library to make the best use of the infrastructures, the facility available in the library. And of course, we come across many people, who visits the library because they do not have a proper place, a peaceful environment to stay home and study. So because of that, they are, they visit the library, where they can peacefully sit down and study, and also getting access to the books and also the e-resources that are available, otherwise which they may not be able to access in their respective homes. So, libraries continue to, consistently continue to be a huge blessing for people of the underprivileged society. And now the question is on whether libraries are having relevancy today. Well, libraries across the world are adopting to meet the needs of their communities. And just a small example, in London, we witness libraries rebranding the name as idea stores. And here, people come there to have a coffee, take a class, and shop for an idea. So the libraries are changing, according to the need of the changing times, and hence libraries are very much, relevant. Libraries are still having a huge relevancy even in today's time, and of course it will continue to have its relevancy as long as the library adapts to the changing times, as like the London Library, which which has rebranded its name as idea stores, where people come there to have a coffee, take a class, and also shop for an idea. Means interacting with people, or maybe by referring to some of the resources which may be in the form of a book, or which may be in the form of a digitized form. Library as a community building space, well, it brings different resources under one space or welcoming roofs. And people may go to the library looking for mainly for information, but they find each other there. That was stated by Robert Botnam. And the library of today and future, hence the library of today and future, will be less about books, but more about their places and communities and the value added services they bring to the community. And today, modern libraries are offering more than ever before. So, do we still need a library? Yes, we will continue to need a library. And library are also considered as a people's university, because this is the place where people come to learn, to get access to the different materials. And this is also a place where people come and meet different people, interacting with different people, and through which they are able to, get a new perspectives, and hence they are able to learn and move forward. An example is like, let me just cite one example. Now, Hurricane Sandy happened in 2012 in New York, and the New York public libraries were the first agencies to open after the hurricane. And it says that, when Hurricane Sandy took place in 2012, everything was shut down, including public transport, different offices. And it was witnessed that the public library, was the first agencies to reopen after the hurricane. They did not just only reopen the library, but also this particular library turned out to be a place where they were able to give a very significant services to the people by providing food, medicines, and different other needs. So I think that itself speaks volume about how libraries are contributing to community building. And same thing happened in Colorado fire and floods, where the libraries provided different needs to the communities, which includes like food, medicines, and other needs. And another very interesting reference, it happened in Exeter in England. There was a terrible snow, which was also reported in 2018. And in that particular time, everything was closed except the libraries. And the libraries were open to offer solace to the people. I think this itself is a great explanatory how the libraries are significantly contributing to community building in society. And so some reflections from what we have covered. The first thing is, did the philosophy of library change with the evolution of library in the 21st century? And the answer is no. And is library still relevant in the digital era? The answer is yes, it is still relevant, and it will continue to be relevant. And how libraries are changing their role according to the changing needs of the community. We have just cited some small examples how the libraries are changing their role, in contributing to society. And libraries for community space for all. I think this itself is, this library for community space has been the consistent role of library in society. So this is just a small reflections of what we have just covered. Let's move forward. Well, now we will talk about a changing role of library in society. The changing role of library, yes. Well, thus, in the modern information society, libraries and information centers have a new role to play. And this is due to the increasing use of web-based information sources and electronic services. And libraries are also being managed in a more democratic way due to flexible communication system and efficient work organizations. When we talk about democratic way, it means like giving equal opportunity to everyone who is in need. And library service have also becoming more user-centric. And when we talk about a user-centric, it's not only in the physical form, but also it can be also in a web, in a web connectivity, through which the library can gives a very effective services to the users. And what about the impact of libraries in social transformation? Of course, whatever we have talked about so far, it speaks about it is that itself is an explanatory how library is and how libraries are having a huge impact in social transformation. And society, of course, does not remain static but goes on changing. And library being a social institution, social change does affects the role of libraries in society. And the factors which effects in a social transformation are like political and social stability. We know there is a lot of changes that take place politically and which affects social stability as well. And there is a growth in education facilities and a high rate of literacy. And urbanization and globalization, growth in trade and commerce, high standard of living, computer and communication technology, etc. These factors have left a great impact on all aspects of the growth of libraries by radically changing their conventional roles. And the libraries of today not only deals with books, but collects information in multiple media for its clients or for its users. And of course, library will continue to be, more into the multimedia. In the electronic, the collection will be more into electronic forms rather than on books. And the modern, library has undergone changes in handling the basic functions of a library, like collections, processing, storage, retrieval, dissemination, and utility of information. And new information, communication, and networking technologies have completely changed the functioning of the libraries. Today, unlike the traditional libraries, everything has been digitized. In a way, it saves a lot of time for the users, and because of which the users are able to save a lot of time, and they are also able to get access to not only the information which are in the form of a book, but also in a digitized form. So I think that's the way it is, in a way, transforming the society. And now let's talk about a role of libraries in societies. Of course, whatever we have covered are directly or indirectly, we have spoken about how libraries are playing a significant role in society. So but before we talk about the role of library in society, I think it is also important to understand What is a society? Of course, the definition of society is quite complex, but maybe in a simpler way, the standard definition which has been already given. Let me just share on that. Well, a society is formed by a group of people having a common interest or living in the same place. Basically, a society is formed by a group of people who have something in common. And there is yet another connotation to the meaning of society. It refers to a totality of human relationships. Human beings in relationship with each other forms a society. And society exists only when members of a group know each other and share common interests. And why society is important? Well, society is important because it provides us with a system and a platform to work together for the betterment of the world. And society is also important because society is culture, it is civilization, it is what sets us apart from animals. And society was also formed, to bring about some sort of order and system by which human beings should act. And society is what defines the way we live every day. This is just a kind of a nutshell how society, what is the meaning of society and why society is important. And now let's talk about role of library in society. Well, libraries considered as gateways to knowledge and culture, plays a very important or fundamental, important fundamental role in society. The resources and services they offer create opportunities for learning, support literacy and education, and help reshape the new ideas and perspectives that are central to a creative and innovative society. And I think this itself is quite explanatory. And we also recognize that information plays significant role in, in the all-round human development, enabling people to develop their full potential. And the societal roles that libraries have come to play includes democratization of information and knowledge, linking people to knowledge and information sources, information and awareness services to communities for empowerment, and library as a place has a community center or social place. They are the collectors and stewards of our heritage, and they take the knowledge of the past and present and lay it down to the future. I think this is one of the most significant role library plays in society. Well, libraries are not only a collector and stewards, of our society, but they take the knowledge of the past and present and lay it down to the future. So the progress that the world has met or the society has met, I think the library has played a significant role in, in building or in transforming society. And that itself is explanatory how libraries are important, are so important, or are so indispensable, for societal development. And some of the functional role of library in society. One is a place for promoting art and culture, where the library does a lot of, display of art and culture, and also culture. When we talk about the culture, it talks about also the cultural programs, bringing different types of people across the society to showcase the culture. So that is, this is a place where, libraries are a place where they promote all this art and culture. And the libraries also plays a significant role in disseminating information to its users, building positive reading habits through the services, and democratizing knowledge in society for all, helping and connecting with people who has similar reading habits, supporting cultural activities, serving as a gateway to local and national government, provides social space for underprivileged people. We have already explained further on that. And library promotes equality and no discrimination. And the role of libraries in higher education, where library plays a significant role in higher education by supporting education, teaching, research, and training in the society by providing access to knowledge, resources, materials, reading materials, and by providing referrals and dissemination, and distribution of information, knowledge stored in such, documents to stakeholders in education, servicing as gateways to the collection of global libraries and supporting informal education and learning. So these are in a very nutshell, how library plays a significant role in higher education. And library in user education, it plays a role in building good reading habits, information literacy, computer literacy, encouraging use of library collections and services, and the library roles of the recreation. It supports educational, civic, and cultural activities of groups and organizations. And a role in information dissemination, of course, this itself is an explanatory. Library helps to provide accurate and current, information to individuals and groups, particularly on the topic of their interest. And the scope of information services are extended to include information on socioeconomic needs of the society. And library has to serve as an information center or referral center for specialized source of information. And societal and cultural role, of course, this is a repetition, so I will not speak much about it. But of course, the most important is democratization of information and knowledge, linking people to knowledge and information sources. And yes, these are some of the significant role library plays in societal and cultural in culture. And library as a center of continuing education, of course, this is without a doubt a very significant role which library plays. That is in center of continuing education. Library is a center of continuing education. People continue their reading habits with the help of libraries according to their desires, capacity, and or need. And being a center of continuing education for millions of people, it develops their vocational, professional, and learning skills, thus facilitating individuals and community problem solving. And library informally provides lifelong continuing education to individuals. And what about the teaching role of a library in society? Of course, library engage the users in activities intended to make them critical thinkers, problem solvers, independent information seekers, and lifelong learners. I think this is another very significant role library plays, in society. And the library also teaches its users how to access, store, and retrieve and use information. That is like library teaches the users or the people how to be an independent learners by learning the skills how to access, store, retrieve the information. And a training to acquire relevant skills should be the focus, of course, of librarians and information professionals of today. And this will enhance the development of structured databases with proper indexing of information for easy access in the library on the internet. And now the question is, do we need libraries in the 21st century? Yes, libraries in the contemporary times not only lend books, but also provide other services to communities such as free access to computers and Wi-Fi, story times to children, language classes to immigrants, and technology training to everyone. And the libraries of the 21st century provide a welcoming common space that encourages exploration, creation, and collaboration between students, teachers, and a broader community. They bring together the best of the physical and digital to create learning hubs. And students and teachers no longer need a library simply for access, but instead, I mean to say, they require a place that encourages participatory learning and allows for construction of understanding from a variety of sources. And in today's time, in information explosion, there is like too much of information everywhere. You Google one particular uh, information and you will be provided with so many sources, and then you are also confused which one is the correct one. So that is the reason why we need the librarians who will be able to give us the right questions. That is why it also said Google can find you 100,000 answers, but the librarians will find you the right one. I think this itself speaks that the relevancy of library in the 21st century. Well, some reflections from what we have covered. Well, the role of library and information science profession has been changing due to the information overload and its availability in variant forms. And the 21st century has brought a lot of changes, not only on the library and information services, but also on the roles and expectations of the librarians and information professionals. And the LIS professionals have new challenges because of unprecedented explosion of information and the application of information communication and mobile technologies in the generation, dissemination and access of information. And to cope with these problems, the modern library and information professionals need to change from the custodian of documents to the to content managers. And libraries are required as a place to encourage participatory learning and allow for co-construction of understanding from a variety of sources. And the libraries of the 21st century provide a welcoming common space that encourages exploration, creation, and collaboration between students, teachers, and broader community. So this comes to the end of our today's presentation that is titled A Changing Role of Libraries in Society. So thank you very much.